to another episode of SheBoss, and to say I am excited about this is definitely an understatement, because I'm sitting here with a woman who I have admired for a very, very long time, Miss Pammie Jimmar, who is the president of Greater Limestone County Chamber of Commerce. I love you so much.
I love you too, Megan.
So for those of you that don't know, if you live under a rock, Pammie is hands down one of the biggest supporters of small business. And anytime you see anything that is out there, especially in North Alabama, in support of small business, entrepreneurs, economic development, anything that's going on in this community, you see Pammie right there in every single picture, behind every single email, as part of every single team photo. And she's an overall rock star. So I am so thankful that you have carved out time to chat with us.
Thank you.
And we're
happy to do it.
Yeah, and we're actually in a very new building right now, because Pammie has spent a lot of time at the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce and recently made a big move. So, but I say, before we jump into the move, let's just start from the beginning. So give us a little bit of a background on who Pammie is that maybe people don't get a chance to hear about.
Oh boy, Pammie doesn't sleep at night, of course. Pammie is so full of energy. Okay, so I was born and raised in Augusta, Georgia. Spent most of my professional career in Macon, Georgia, working in convention sales and tourism. My husband at the time said, it's time to move back to Alabama. And I was like, no, we can't go to Alabama. I need to be with my family. And he said, you know, we've been near your family for over 25 years. And right then it just set in, and I said, you're absolutely right, let's do it. Not knowing that he was thinking, you know, maybe in a year or so. And the Pammie that I am, I moved right on it. I was like, gotta get it done, I gotta get a job.
Yeah.
And so literally our president at the Macon-Bibb County Chamber, who was Chip Cherry, which was my boss in Huntsville, was moving to Huntsville also.
Oh, how funny, I didn't know
Picked up the phone, I was like, oh my God, he's going to Huntsville and I'm going to Huntsville. And so he said to me, he said, well, I don't know if I'll have any openings, but you know, just I'll be in touch with you. And because I had the sales background, because I had been with the Convention and Visitors Bureau for 16 years, he did have a position where he wanted to create a small business department. And it was perfect. It was different. You know, I had been dealing with meeting planners and tour operators and things of that nature, but it was still people skills. You know, if you have people skills, it'll carry you a long way.
Yeah.
So it's just like flipping the page on something different. And of course, I was ready for the task.
Yeah.
And hence, that's when the small business department started to grow and came inception at the Chamber of Commerce.
That is awesome.
I
so
know.
I didn't know that you and Chip were in a different market together, and then you moved over.
Yes,
and
so
Chip's been with the chamber for a long time.
Oh yeah, he celebrated 10 years.
Yeah.
I think maybe about 2 months ago.
Yep.
And so he was with the Chamber of Commerce and I was with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We weren't together. We had our own standalones, but we were in the same city. He's
so
with
fun.
business and we were tourism and meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what spurred your husband to want to go to Alabama?
Just
Does he have
because
roots here?
he's from Colbert County.
Okay.
My father-in-law, Emmett Jimmar, has been, I think Emmett is the longest living commissioner or serving commissioner in the state of Alabama, like 36 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, he's retired now. But yeah, he was born and raised in Colbert County in Leeton, Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah.
So being a commissioner for that long, he probably had some passion projects that he was all about. What were his things?
Oh my gosh, he's strictly community and the people. And on the flip side of that, he was AEA too. You know, Alabama Educational Association. And so he represented all the teachers, all, you know, dealing with education in this area. So it's been it's been great here in this area, everybody knows him. They'll come up to me, and especially here in Limestone, they'll come up to me and say, "Are you related to Pammie Jimmar?" Because he represented all the educators in this region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So you have community support.
Oh, yeah.
And small business in your blood.
Yes.
Just from growing up around that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I do. And my dad was a people person. You know, he didn't have the education, but he is the one that taught me that people skills are more important than anything. Because if you have the people skills, you can just about write a ticket.
Yeah.
No, you know, you the technical skills you need too, but you need the people skills too. People have got to trust you.
Yeah.
They've got to know you. People want to get to know you. We say the old slogan that people use forever, and I still use it, is people do business with people they know, love, and trust.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
Yeah.
So I've always been taught that from a little girl. My dad moonlighted at the Officers Club in Augusta. And so Dad had 2 or 3 jobs. I know he had 2 full-time jobs. I know that. And he literally, and I love golf, and that's why I'm going to tell this story, because everybody knows that Augusta is home of the Masters.
Yep.
And that's kind of where my people skills. My dad met a general, I never forget, growing up. He and his wife would come to Augusta for the Masters every year. He met him in the bar where he was bartending. Right? And so the general just loved my dad so much. And my dad was like, "Hey, you don't need a hotel, because if you've been to the Masters, you can't find any hotels in Augusta, right?" And so he said, you don't have to get a hotel. You can stay with us. Nobody stays downstairs. And so they stayed with us like over 10 years. And so literally, I'm probably not supposed to say this, but literally they would leave on Saturday. And so the tickets would go to us on Saturdays and Sundays. So I've been going to the Masters like since I was, oh gosh, maybe 10 years old.
Oh my
gosh. Yeah. So, and he taught me those people skills, because he went to that golf course, he knew everybody, VIP, and that was unheard of. I mean, even as an African American back in the day, you know, to be able to do that, but he had the people skills to be able to just break all kind of barriers.
I think that's so important too, because especially now, and as we were talking earlier, one of the things about this particular series is that we wanted to break down the barrier of what we view other women to be. Because as we've talked about, so often we look at other women, we admire other women, other men for that matter, and we make assumptions about maybe what their background was or how they got to where they are now. And so really being able to kind of showcase that behind the mirror, so to speak, and really get to learn about people in that way is so important. But I agree, people skills are huge, and that's one thing that is hard to teach necessarily, but it's something that yields such a great return over and over again. Because I agree with you, being in the smallest, largest community.
I know, right?
Where we are. I mean, and I'm in leadership right now, so I know and everything is this like a degree and a half of separation from each other, and it started at 6 and now I went to 4, and then it's like there's really none, because everybody just seems to be connected. And it's so important with relationships, which I think is just huge. And even as a business owner, as you're starting your new business, I mean, surrounding yourself with people who you can engage with and get to learn and really figure out, you know, what is it that I can help these individuals with, and that I can learn from with, to just help kind of propel me in that right direction. And everything that you guys have done, especially at the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber, has really helped open up those opportunities to allow that to happen, which I think has just been so critical to the economic development. So,
Good.
Out of curiosity, did you play golf before you started going to the Masters, or was that what sort of sparked the interest a little bit?
It did. I guess I started working at the Masters because when you're in Augusta and you're a kid, I mean, it's like that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
And so you were able to get a work permit back in the day. I don't know if they still do that to let 13-year-olds work anymore. But back in the day when I was growing up, I did get a work permit to work there at 13. And all our parents, regardless, you know, whether they weren't able to go and play golf, you know, at the Augusta National, but golf courses are all over in Augusta. And so my dad played, my brother played. And of course, I always love the game. And so, yeah, I'm not great, but I love the game.
That's okay. Yeah. It's a fun game.
It
and
is.
It used to be very much a man's game, and I think that is completely changing.
Oh, it's so
completely
much
changing.
fun.
It is
it's
so much fun.
relaxing.
Yeah.
To get your girls out on the golf course and all day and eat and
and be silly on the golf cart.
And be silly on the golf cart.
Exactly. And laugh in someone's backswing when they're just,
Yes.
So your journey has brought you throughout this industry of, convention sales and hospitality management and doing all of these different things. Did you study that in school?
Yes.
You did.
Well, kind of like. So my degree is business administration with a concentration in marketing. So I always when you take all these tests in high school to see where your interests may lie, mine always came back social work, right? And so I was like, okay, social work, I can do that. I love people. I love helping people. And so when I got ready to go to college, I said, well, maybe I don't want to major in social work, but I do want to help people. So go ahead and major in business administration and marketing. I love to talk. One of my counselors say, why don't you try marketing? In the 80s, marketing was just kind of just coming. People been doing marketing, but it started to really get really popular. And I said, I do love talking to people. And so that's how I picked the major, business administration with a concentration in marketing. And then when I graduated from college, I started working with the Department of Human Services with Family and Children Services. So they had rolled out a program it was called Right from the Start, Medicaid, and it was for women and children. So I was able you were social services, but you also had to market the program and go to doctor's offices and get them to market the program to their patients.
Yeah.
So it afforded me the opportunity to do both, to still have a caseload, to deal with women that had children, but then it also afforded me the opportunity to get out in the community to the medical community to get them to support the program.
Yeah. When you are able to find something that sort of marries your two passions, it's one thing to do marketing for a company that sells tchotchkes or makes products that, I don't know, and then it's another when you can see a true community and personal and emotional impact that effort can influence. It definitely makes the job so much more worthwhile in my personal opinion, which I think why nonprofit is just so amazing. My first job was in nonprofit, and I had to market, had to sell, all those things. So underqualified for that position, but through my people skills, I convinced them to hire me.
He's like, I
promise you.
I can do it.
But when you can find something like that really marries those things that bring that true passion out, I think the end result is just, it's going to be amazing, because you don't do it because you have to do it. You do it because it's something you just love to do, and it's the right thing. And it's hard. It's hard work, but I'm sure it was such a great benefit
gosh,
for you.
yeah. And even, when I was in Huntsville, with the chamber, with the small businesses, I didn't know that world, but as I began to meet the members and talk to the companies, for me, it's more than you're just a member.
Yeah.
For me, it's about building relationships in the beginning. And this, I can say, at the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber, the members and the small business, they're like my friends.
Yeah.
I have been there 10 years, so we were more than
a transaction.
Than a transaction.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of it. And I think that's just who I am, because people have to feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And people have to like you. I don't feel that people would be a member of an organization if they didn't, support the mission and like the people that work there.
Yeah.
It's all in one. You have to kind of have it all.
Well, and I think as a member of the chamber, I know personally, especially over the last year and a half, that the team there, and I'm sure it's the same here, has hands down the best interest of its members at play. Which leads me to another question. I don't want to focus too much on this, but the pandemic and what that did. And those who have heard me talk just even a little bit know that as a small business owner, we had, we started in 2018 and it's 2021 and we have 8 full-time people, which is amazing.
Yes, it is.
And I attribute a lot of that to not only the stellar team behind the camera, but organizations such as the Chamber, who I didn't know what I don't know, and you guys helped me so much with that, and the Catalyst did as well.
Yes.
But going through that process, no one was prepared. I don't think anybody was prepared what was going to happen, and I joke about it, but that second week in March, you better believe that I took a punch to the gut and
I still get goosebumps.
drowned myself in a bottle of wine for a weekend and cried myself to sleep, thinking that this is going to go down.
I know.
And that drive that drove me to start was refueled instantly, and it was, this is not going to take me down.
No.
I don't care what I have to do. And honestly, I can truly say that had it not been for the constant communication from your team, the daily emails from Claire and the calls and just everybody being, and Hillary Claiborne being so helpful.
Yes.
God bless Hillary.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I heard you couldn't find the PPP. Give me a call, I'll hook you up. It was like she was like a drug dealer.
Hillary and I were like on the phone sometimes 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And she was like, Hillary, I would text her, Hillary, are you up? She's like, yeah, I'm up. I said, can I call you now? Yeah, you can call me now. There we are. Yeah, it was, oh my gosh.
But all of you guys were and all of you were working behind the scenes to just figure it out.
You
were figuring it out for other people while you were still going through your own impacts from COVID and the pandemic. So just to think about that for a second, and I know there's a lot of focus on healthcare workers for the obvious reason, and first responders and educators, and but there's just in the same category, in my opinion, are individuals such as yourself and the teams at organizations.
Yeah, and the no sleep. And
absolutely, because there wasn't a day that didn't go by where I didn't feel confident in the resources that were being provided. It was because of that our business is where it is today, hands down. So, but I would love to get your perspective from behind the scenes.
Oh my gosh,
really
from behind the scenes.
But how you guys were able to just overcome some of those challenges and what that meant for you at that time.
Oh my goodness, wow. Where do we begin? I never forget that we were all in the auditorium. And literally, when everyone had figured out that this thing wasn't going anywhere, it wasn't like it was here for a week or a month. It was not going anywhere. And it really started to really hit home when the mandates start to happen. When we saw, cities and states and federal government, everyone shutting down, but business had to go on, right? In some way, form, and fashion. That was before even the loans and the PPP and the EIDL came out. There was nothing.
I feel like some people maybe thought, oh, we've got a 2-week break. Just give us 2 weeks. That's all we need to stay at home for 2 weeks, which was like, great.
Oh gosh, it was, and you still have organizations and businesses, especially in the federal government realm, that are still not back in person. But it was almost like, and I say this, I don't want, maybe I shouldn't say this because this word is very strong, so I'm not going to say it. It was kind of like we were on a battlefield, really. And we had to figure out how not that we were going to win, but how are we going to navigate through this? Businesses were closing because they just couldn't, I'm talking about permanently, because they could not, they had employees to pay. They had benefits to pay. Just think of the food that had gone to waste that they had already spent money on. And what could we do as a team? I remember, I'll never forget, we were in one of our team meetings, and we met every day. to figure this out. And I just looked at Chip and the team and I just started crying. I said, these small businesses were calling left and right. What can we do? What are we going to do? Yeah. And I remember Chip saying, we're gonna get through this. But how are we going to navigate through this for our members? Because they are looking at us.
Yeah.
Like, what should we do? We're the voice of business.
Yeah.
So tell us what to do. And so hence the, I think the first thing was, how do we protect ourselves? Mm-hmm. Companies were, especially the large companies too, were like, we don't have masks. Remember, you couldn't find masks.
Yeah. I mean, so many people were starting to make masks at home and just give them away.
Right, absolutely. We had that going on. So it was almost like everybody in the community were just pulling together. Hey, I can sew. The breweries, we can make sanitizer, because I mean, Lysol, what is Lysol? That you can find that.
Yeah.
And so people started to, what was so cool about it was, if I made this type of widget, how could I help and support this pandemic? Companies just flipped and did whatever it took to get it done. That helped two ways, because that helped them keep the employees there by just, feeding out different things that people needed. The small businesses right away, this is when we found out that a lot of the small businesses were not online.
Yeah.
They could not take their model and put it online.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the most disheartening thing. Even the restaurants that were not at that level to have where you can go on there and order online, and you could come to me and I could come to your car and deliver, because we still got to eat.
Absolutely.
People still had to eat, you know?
And I think it's so interesting that you say that, because a lot of companies don't have the infrastructure, resources, bandwidth, skill set to be able to just flip a switch and pivot in that way.
No.
And now that's a big problem right now with all of the funding that's been sent down to each state level to be able to provide all of this COVID relief.
Yes.
It's caught up in, in state governments who can't physically process applications fast enough because they don't have the infrastructure to do it. You can't just spin up a platform overnight and pay for that, by the way. And be able to respond. So it's not about the willingness, the unwillingness to do it. It's the inability to effectively roll it out.
They did not know how. You're right.
They don't know how.
They did not know how. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to call the name, I'm going to say a chamber. One of our chambers that we are very close with in the state of Alabama had met up with two young startup guys in Birmingham. And so as the pandemic, it was starting, they were like, what can we do? So they created a platform called Get Your Gift On. I don't know if you remember that one. So it's still on the chamber site. It's called Get Your Gift On. So what they did was, if you were a small business and you weren't able to have a gift card on your website, because we were trying to help small businesses. If you can't shop now, let's just get this money into these businesses now.
Shop later.
You can shop later. And so that's the platform they created, and then they sold it through 2 chambers throughout the country. And to be able to, the businesses that could, to get the gift cards. And they also were able to, if a business did not have the bandwidth to at least get their business online some sort of way, were to help them out in that way too. So that started, and we were like begging businesses just to, put your business on this. If you do, at the very least, and we were trying to drive people to that site to be able to support the small businesses in the area, whether it was restaurants or retail.
I think, I'm an eternal optimist, as Merritt knows, but I like to always think about the positive.
Yes.
So it's not your challenge, it's your area of opportunity, right?
Yes.
And I think that although there were, and there still are, so many devastating outcomes that have been as a result of this, the ingenuity that has come out of the responsiveness and the need to adapt and the need to pivot and the need to be more flexible with a hybrid or a remote environment, and really what that looks like has been mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
If you really sit back and you look at, okay, this has happened, how are we going to respond?
Yeah.
And although it's like I said, continues to be devastating, there's been so much innovation that has been, as a result, that has unfolded as a result of this, which is mind-blowing, and it's just very admirable to see when you can bring bright minds together and on the spot really work to figure out something.
See how we're going to figure this out.
Right.
And who thought we would be doing curbside delivery?
Right.
Whoever thought, know? Whoever thought, everyone loves the outdoor dining, and some restaurants were already doing it.
Yeah.
But look, with the COVID relief money, restaurants were able to use that money and get patios built and be creative with outdoor dining and things of that nature. And the beauty of, like the PPP was, what we were trying to teach small businesses, and I would get on the radio all the time when they would come, when like the PPP would come out, or the second draw, or the state of Alabama when Governor Ivey had the $15,000 loans, and just any type of not loan, but grants, just to really let the small businesses know, to really the education, because there's an education component of receiving that money also.
Yes.
And to, make sure you set up a separate account. Please don't put that in your business account. Set up a separate account. Keep your receipts. Make sure you use it for the correct, because as quick as they gave it to you, they can come right back if you're not keeping your records and take it away.
Well, and in times of desperation, we oftentimes don't think about those things.
Absolutely.
And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
We just need to get things going, And
it's like preaching. I'm like, education. So we started educating on what you needed to do when you receive those grants or those loans. Yes.
Yeah. That's so great. Yeah. So this may be a challenging question to answer, but I'm curious that we are absolutely not over the hump. We are still in the thick of it, but I think that we've adapted in a way that we will move on. We are moving forward. This is not going to take us down, and we just need to adjust.
Yes.
But looking back, what would be your piece of advice for small business owners, just in times of the unknown, that potentially would benefit another future thing that may drop on our plates a couple years from now?
I say preparedness. So when a small business, I feel that a small business knows what it's great at, okay? I know I'm great at photography. I know I'm great at, cooking, right? You have to have policies and procedures and a business plan and a marketing plan, a disaster plan, Lord knows a disaster plan, ready. All of those should be in place. And I think what it's taught us now is for small businesses to have a disaster preparedness plan. So our disaster preparedness plan pre-pandemic might have been if it was a flood, if it was a fire. Tornado.
Yeah.
So now we have a pandemic. So we know a lot right now. So what happens in 5 years if this happens again? How are you going to be prepared for it when it happens again, so that you don't close or you don't sink?
Yeah.
What can you do? Right now, you already know that digitally, you need to be connected. Because there were small businesses that weren't even on LinkedIn or Instagram, where they can at least take pictures and say, hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and we're still open.
Yeah. There were businesses that couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the bandwidth to maybe take that business online, you got to be at least on that social media, because social media was going crazy.
Yeah, it was.
All over the place in a good way.
Yeah.
But that was really the only way that we were getting information out for a while.
Yeah.
And so I think that is very important, just to have these processes in place. So when and if it does happen again, I mean, we're still in it.
Yeah.
To just be prepared.
Yeah.
To just be, I think that disaster preparedness plan should now include a pandemic.
Right, right. Well, I mean, we're all familiar enough with it now. And even going into this school year, it's like, okay, we saw what happened last year, so we know now the repercussions of not wearing a mask and doing these things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One thing that we found, and this was after that weekend of crying my eyes out, you know, we quickly realized, just like you said, like, hey, we know what we're really good at. And there's a lot of things we're not good at. But what we are good at is something that we can give to the community in a way to help them. And, you know, our team, they're very organic, and you know, we're done so on a very little budget. But we created these like free classes to help people understand like how to be on Facebook and what that means. And we were like, if we could just help, like, honestly, I mean, like, because you can do some things in your sleep. But those things are invaluable to other people.
Very much so.
And so, and honestly, it was my family and our team talking, just saying, we need to do something. Like, what can we do?
A lot of people.
Let's just record what we do all day long. And give it to people for free in hopes of helping.
Yeah, because remember, I was calling you, I was like, Megan, this is great. I've been on your website. Can I promote this? Can I send this to some people? You're like, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Like, and I think hopefully we did a small part just to help. But I think in that time, you know, that's when community is so important. And just thinking beyond, like, what can we do for ourselves, but like, what can we do for our neighbors and our classmates and our, you know, and our family down the street who doesn't live on the internet and doesn't know what's going on. And, you know, and the other thing too that I think is really important is that, at least from a business owner perspective, learning how, you know, you can't put all of your eggs in one basket. And so if 100% of your publicity of your brand is through, and I'm just using this as an example, but billboard advertising, like, you got to anticipate that people aren't going to be driving around anymore, and they won't see your business there, and they won't know how to see it elsewhere. And so if you can be able to be flexible and have a presence in multiple places, I think it's just really important to maintain that top of mind. And then another thing that we learned was to be transparent, especially as a leader. As you mentioned earlier, with being the voice of business and the voice of community, the community members look to you for guidance, and your employees look to your leaders for guidance. And so you, even though we're going to stress out and freak out, and you also have to talk and be transparent about what's going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know? And sometimes that's hard, but it's what needs to happen.
It has to be. You know, I remember, I guess maybe like a month ago, you know, as we start to see a little uptick, and, you know, we were like, okay, because, you know, we were going back to in-person businesses, in-person meetings in August, and you just start to see a little uptick, and you're like, oh, you know, people are wearing a mask, it's going to be fine. Then all of a sudden, here we are.
Like, and everything's going back to virtual.
Everything's going back to virtual.
But you know what? That's okay, because we just have to adjust.
It's an opportunity, you know, and I look at, you know, there are some events that you can still do virtual. There's some, I think the opportunity has been like, even like the professional development trainings. Because it's easier. You don't have to get in your car. You don't have to find a parking space. I mean, like, there's so much wasted time trying to get to the... You
don't have to fully do all your hair. You can just do the front part.
You can put that picture right up there on Zoom, and you can, you know, I'm here.
I'm in my PJs,
I'm here. And so that has, you know, that's it. It is, to me, brought more people to the table of your classes and your professional development than you would have for people that just can't take 2 hours out of the day. The networking part, of course, has been missed because we are people, and we love people. But I think, you know, as this region and a community, people are like, okay, yeah, we do, but, you know, we literally got to protect not only ourselves, but everybody else,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll get through this together.
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
absolutely.
The community will rally, and this community's been amazing.
Absolutely.
And again, from the Huntsville Madison County Chamber to the Greater Limestone County Chamber,
Yes.
you guys are just helping businesses.
Yes.
So, well, I want to switch gears a little bit
Yes.
because one thing we talked about was, our every year and during the month of October, Flourish turns our logo pink. Not because we love pink, which we do, but we love pink, but it's also to raise awareness around something that impacts so many men and women, which is cancer, primarily breast cancer. So for those of you who have followed Pammie in her journey, she has rung the bell, and she has been a cancer warrior, and not only a warrior, but an amazing inspiration to so many people. And so I'd love to just, if you wouldn't mind, share your story a little bit.
Sure.
And again, I think it's not only a way for people to get to know you, a little bit more on a personal level, but also talk through some of the I never thought I would, kind of things that we all feel.
Yes.
My mom this morning saw a picture of me, and she's like, "Was that a mole on your back that I saw?"
I bet she did.
She
like,
did,
"Get
and
to
she's
that
like, "I think I
dermatologist."
saw something." I'm like, "Mom, that was just my sports bra. But I
Right.
love you. Thank you so much." But she's that way because her mom died at 54 of breast cancer, and she has had cancer in her family, and so it's just something that we can't pretend and put it in quotation marks like it's far distant from us. So, if you could just share a little bit of your story, I would love that.
So my journey began in February of 2018. It was a routine mammogram, as I hope everyone does every year.
And how old were you?
I was 54.
Okay.
I was 54 years old. And I remember the receptionist saying to me, would you, Blue Cross Blue Shield is now accepting or allowing ladies to get the 3D. And I was like, absolutely, I want a 3D. And so she said, fine. I did my mammogram that day, got the call back the next day and said, could you come back? We just want to retake, because they don't say, like, we saw something. They're like, we want to redo, double check. And I said, absolutely. And I candidly, I told my mom, I said, Mom, I've got to, go back to the hospital because they want to redo the mammogram. And so I did. She called me, that was in the morning, she called me back. She said, can you come back? Oh my gosh, I got really scared. I said, Mom, they want me back. This is like the third time. And she says, oh, sometimes it happens. She says, go on. And so I got there and she said, I want to do a biopsy. And I said, oh gosh. Then I started to freak out. I said, okay, now when I want to do a biopsy, they may see something. And I asked her, I said, do you see anything? She says, well, we see something, but let's do a biopsy on it. And they did, because I'm really scary. And I would have wanted Mom to come with me, but I was like, oh, it'll be fine. And I said, well, what are you going to do? She says, well, we're just going to go in and, go. And I was like, oh, all up that? Oh, gosh, I need my mom to hold no, they numbed the area.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, I'm a big girl. I can do this. I can do this. This has never happened to me at all. And because you hear your friends, well, I had to go back, I had to get a biopsy, and so it had never happened. And so that happened. She says, we'll call you, once the biopsy, once the results come back. And I said, okay, fine. I wasn't really stressing or anything. And I got a call back from the radiologist. And the radiologist said, Ms. Jimmar, I have something I want to share with you. Your results came back from your biopsy and it is cancerous. Oh my gosh. I didn't freak out. I said, this is what I said. I said, okay. And they gave me options on what did I, who to call and things of that nature. What were my next steps? And I called home and I said, Mom, I said, I got cancer. And she said to me, she didn't cry. I'm going to cry. She didn't cry. And she told me, she said, just come home and we're going to deal with this. I can't believe I got emotional.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of an emotional talk.
And
Was your mom here, or was she?
yes, so my mom was here. I had my husband and I of almost 25 years, had both said that we were both mutually agreed the October before I found out I had cancer that we were going to divorce. So that February, because if anyone's going through divorce, it doesn't happen right away. There's a whole process. And so I was going through the divorce and going through cancer at the same time. And so my mom was there with me, and she said, we're going to get through this. And so I found an oncologist, Dr. Schroeder. You know, I got to give you your props. As I call him, baby boy Schroeder, because it's Daniel Schroeder was my oncologist, and the amazing team at Clearview took care of me, and that's when we started the journey. You know, I met with him. He told me, you know, I've had a series of tests. I said that year, for the last 2 years, I had been poked, prodded, tested to death, literally, loosely saying that. Yeah, and so we came up with a plan. Came up with 16 rounds of chemo. He said, it's so small. And I did not have cancer. It was not, nobody in my family had it. We perhaps thought my great-grandmother had it when we got her picked her up from Montgomery, and she had a sore on her breast. She wasn't going to the doctor. She was 94 years old. And so we really think that she did, because at that point, she was 94. We just kind of kept, Mom was in the medical field, and so she had the doctor, which was one of her friends, just come out to the house and kind of keep her comfortable with that. But my grandmother nor mother had it. And so that's when the journey began. And he, you know, asked me, he said, I don't want to. At that point, it's so weird because it started doing things. Like at one point, it was small, and then I would go back and it would grow a little bit.
So
it was very, like 2 centimeters. It was very small, but that's all it takes with cancer. I mean, it can be one, because of it can start to metastasize. And so he said, I want to perform surgery. You know, you can either have, well, no, he gave me options. I could have chemo, radiation. He go in and remove it. A surgeon would go in and remove it, or I could have the mastectomy. And of course, I'm like, no, I don't want to go that route. I said, let's just do it. So I had a bilateral mastectomy. Okay. And as I look back, rewind, I probably right now would have done a double, just because you start to things, it's so weird when you're going through cancer, you're not really in that moment, you know, because you're so busy. It's a race to save your life. It's a race to get better. You're not really in the mind frame, if that makes sense. Yeah. You're not thinking like maybe the way maybe you should be thinking. You're too busy worried about the chemo, the surgery, everything else. But I'm very hopeful and prayerful, you know, that I'm going to be fine, you know, the support. And I say it's so weird because I always tell my colleagues that, yes, I work for the Chamber of Commerce, but you're Pammie from the Chamber. Like literally, that's who you are. Yeah. And so the community just rallied around me. Oh my gosh. Mom and I never had to cook a day in our lives when I was going through cancer. And these were just people in the community that were more than friends, that were more than business owners. They were friends. You know, it was just amazing. I got the opportunity to speak at Pink Ribbons, tie the pink ribbons, and White Linen, with, of course, the fundraiser for Clearview, the Russell Hill Foundation, which was great. It gave me the opportunity to tell my story. Yeah. I was always transparent. I would put it on. I kind of stopped this Facebook. I would just give updates, but I went through the really detailed through the Caring Bridge, which is a site for cancer patients. And so I put my Caring Bridge address out there. But people that wanted it, you know, they could go and log in and they could keep up with me every day. Because I just heard so many stories where I didn't think I was an inspiration to anyone, you know, but it just kept your inspiration, keep going, keep going. And the more you have cheerleaders and the positive mindset you have, you can beat it. You literally can beat it. But when you start to gloat in it, am I gonna live? Am I gonna die? What are my kids?
It's depression sets in.
Depression sets in, and it's hard to fight. But if you say, oh, I've got this, bring it on, my hair comes out, it's okay, it'll grow back, you know, I never forget.
I mean, that's totally a trend. So.
Yes, I know, right? I was like, Mom says, are you gonna wear a wig? I'm like, no way, I'm not gonna wear a wig, I'm gonna shave. And I never forget, we had the pictures, I put the pictures out there to see my journey. I got my hair shaved by my son's barber, and there my hair fell. I never forget, I was at a function, I never forget. And my hair started coming out from the chemo, but I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna keep this up. Because I had it all shaved. I had this curly up here. And I never forget, it was just like flapping. And I said, if the wind blows, it's gonna fall on the ground.
Oh, it's gonna just come
Literally, it's gonna come right off. I'm gonna be sitting there and it's gonna say, and there's the bald head there. And I was like, just stay on a couple more functions. I got a couple more functions to go to.
God.
And literally it stayed on. And so he finally I call it a rooster top. He finally shaved my rooster top off. And I said, you know what? I'm not gonna hide behind these wigs. And I understand ladies that wear wigs. I support them. I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep this hair, I'm gonna just rock it. I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna put on my eyelashes and my makeup, and my lipstick. We were wearing lipstick back then. And I'm gonna rock it. And it just became an inspiration to even more people. Just because I was embracing it, you know? It's not gonna take me down, I'm gonna take it down.
Exactly.
But meanwhile, I'm gonna embrace it, I'm gonna fight it. And just positive energy. And I am a Christian, so I've got to say, and the Lord, I mean, He literally kept me and brought me through this journey. He really did. He really did. And prayers. Oh my gosh. So many prayers. And positive energy was like fed into me. I had nothing. There was nowhere to go but to beat this and to be successful.
It's amazing what a positive outlook can do on a situation. I mean, it can absolutely change the output of it. You know, and, my dad had cancer and went through radiation all last year, and it was awful to watch because it just sucks the life out of you and just, you know, causes so much. It's depression. You know, and sometimes it's very hard, I would imagine, to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But you know, that you shared your journey with everybody, I think is so bold and so strong and such a you know, perfect, you know, an indicative representation of who you are as an individual, beyond just what you've done for our community, because it's not only has it helped business, but it's helped women and men and children and all of that. What was the biggest surprise of the journey that you went through with breast cancer that you just caught you off guard, kind of knocked you off your feet a little bit, that you didn't anticipate?
The process, and still in the process. Like, I think that there's, and of course, one day, I'm gonna get with Sonia Robinson, and we're gonna work on this because we said, because we said that we're gonna work on this. I feel when you have been diagnosed with cancer, you get in a mode of you and your oncologist and the medical team of how are we going to save this person's life, when there are a lot of things that, you know, like there's a surgeon that's involved, there's an oncologist, there's a surgeon involved, there's you know, you got to pick a surgeon. After that, there's another journey of, you know, continuing your radiation. There's another journey of, do you want implants? You know, that's a whole nother journey that I really wasn't even thinking about that time. There's like the whole thing is a process. And in my mind, the way I think, I'm like, let's do it and let's get it done.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
And so knowing up front that this is a process that's not gonna be done in a year or 2 or maybe 3 years. And for me, it's a mindset. If I know that up front throughout the whole journey, I'm good.
Yeah.
But, you know, now I'm probably on journey 1, 2, 3, 4 now.
Wow.
You know, with the decision, there's another plastic surgeon you have to see.
Yeah.
On top of the surgeon that will remove the breast. You know, there's so many decisions there to make. You know, do you want implants? Do you want the flap surgery? And the flap surgery is what I'm doing. And most people don't know about it, or most people don't really want to do it because it is very intensive. It's an 8-hour-long surgery. They don't do it here in Huntsville. The plastic surgeon that I saw in Huntsville told me I can go to UAB or I can go to Vanderbilt because they're the ones that do it. And I chose UAB. So I'm still on a journey from 2018 to it's 2000, almost 22, and I'm still on this journey.
Yeah.
COVID had a lot to do with why I was paused last year, but I picked back up on it this year. So have my expanders in. Because I am going for have chosen the flap surgery where they'll remove the fat from my belly, and take that fat, transfer it up. He told me, he said, you know, I'm gonna have to break your chest bone. I'm like, what? I told him, I said, stop, don't tell me anything else. Just take me to the OR, beam me up, and knock me out. And we'll talk later.
Yeah.
And so I told her, I said, just stop right there. So they'll do that because they have to remove the fat from the belly, bring it up to make the breast. And then that's 8 hours because they have to sew all those blood vessels together in your belly, sew all the blood vessels together in your breast. And then, you know, from there, there's another journey. Because from there, there's a cosmetic component of it. And I told him, y'all know I'm totally transparent. He said, you don't have to do that if you want to. I was like, look, I'm 56 years old. I need everything that goes with that. I'm gonna need that.
That's like the nipple tattoo and stuff, right?
Yes. I said, I
do you want it to look like a natural breast?
I'm divorced, you all. You know, there is a single life out there and somebody out there for me sometime, right? In the future. But I told him, I said, and he just laughed. He's amazing at UAB. He's like, okay. I said, yes. And so, you know, there's still a couple more surgeries, but I'm ready for it. And then, so this is hilarious. And you all know I'm transparent again. So he has to go to the left side, and he has to make the left breast match the one that he made. And so I'm looking forward to that. Most definitely. I'll tell you what I say off camera because it is hilarious. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I've got like 3 more surgeries left.
Yeah.
And then that journey hopefully will be over. No more.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I would venture to think that the journey of overcoming and fighting cancer really never ends because of what it does to you personally and emotionally. And like any horrible journey that one goes through, we have some similar things in common, and it's an opportunity to grow.
Yes,
and,
it is.
Set an example for those around you how to overcome challenges. And you can't pick and choose what happens to you in life, but you can sure pick and choose how you react to it and how you handle it.
Yes.
So, well, Pammie, I cannot thank you enough. You are just the best. And again, this is we are so excited about this series because, again, it's we get to meet people like you and talk with people like you, but you know, Pammie is one that, again, I have admired from afar for so long, both professionally and through friendship.
Friendship, yes.
She's amazing, and you're an inspiration, and we all want to be Pammie when we grow up. But she's also faced challenges that we have all faced, and it's not about you know what it is. You know, what those challenges have done, but it's how you overcome them,
right? And
how you use those to just grow and be a better mother, partner, friend, business leader, and all of those things. So thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. I appreciate it, and keep shining, because you and your team are doing amazing things. I've even heard the name come up a couple times since I've been here in Athens. So keep shining. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.